So welcome to our webinar. It's all about data and personalisation and how that kind of changes the customer experience. My name is Carly Shim and I'm the Community Manager here at Women in Digital. So if you're new, Women in Digital is all about connecting, educating and empowering our way to diversity in digital. And today is special for so many reasons. The first one being it's our final webinar for 2020. What a year it has been. I can't believe we're here. We started webinars like deep in March when everyone was kind of made to go home and we wanted to make sure everyone felt connected and had familiar faces around. We've had 16 webinars since, and it's been so good to have you guys all along on that journey. And the second reason why today is so special is because we have not one but two guests, and it's our first time we've ever had a duo on the screen. So today we're meeting with, I'm going to get your job titles correctly, but Suncorp's Data and Personalisation Specialist, Monique Dunne, and then Senior Digital Product Owner, Ashlee McElligott. Did I say that right, Ashlee?
Yeah, you did very well. There's a lot of syllables to get out.
Today they're going to be talking with us about digital transformation, the future of personalisation, and so much more. And apparently they're going to say wild a lot. That's my favourite word. So we're going to try and play bingo.
Wild bingo.
You're probably really familiar with how today is going to work, but we do have some newbies on today. So what happens now is in a second, I'll hand you over to the fabulous women. I'll turn my mic and camera off and leave you in their very capable hands. And they're going to spend the next half an hour to 45 minutes kind of imparting their wisdom on you. And then what I'll do is I'll jump back on the end and we'll do a Q&A with them. So kind of as a question pops up, pop it in the chat function or the Q&A section, and we promise we'll get to as many as we can at the end of today. And with that, ladies, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, so thanks so much, Carly, for the intro. All things data and personalisation, changing the customer experience and improving the business bottom line. We are super passionate about it. So hopefully we don't drown you with our passion as well. And also, Carly called us out. We are very, we say wild a lot.
Too much.
I was thinking last night, I was like, I feel like we should play bingo. So if you hear us say wild, we're going to try and stop from now on. Please type bingo in the chat. Carly's going to be monitoring the winners. The winners will get the bingo award, which I think is invisible, but I'm not really sure.
It's satisfaction.
But, it's kudos. Satisfaction. It's definitely the kudos. Yeah, for sure. Cool, but we'll get started.
Yeah, well, we might go a little bit of an intro of ourselves. So who are we, apart from these fabulous photos that one of our lovely Suncorp friends took for us in light of the Women in Digital webinar. I am Mon. I am the Data and Personalisation Specialist at the Suncorp Group. And my main drive and goal in my role is to use data capabilities and personalisation for all of our major brands. So I work across the Suncorp, Amy, GIO and Apia brands that sit under the Suncorp Group. And just to explain that a little, because I know sometimes titles can't necessarily be very representative of what we do in day-to-day life. My day-to-day life includes managing different website-based experiences. So I personalise on site. And it's essentially, I use data to help the customer around our websites, either by reminding them they have existing quotes with us to take out, helping them log in if they're a customer, and looking at new and creative ways for opportunities for functionality improvements as well. I also work in the customer engagement space at the moment. We're looking to further develop strategies around our experiences, which just basically means a whole bunch of research into our website traffic, understanding micro journeys and how we can better them. Previous to my current role here in the data and personalisation space, I was in the direct marketing team in marketing automation, and I was using data for personalisation there as well. And I was there for 2.5 years. So I've been at Suncorp for a little while now, but I've been in the industry for 7 years, starting off as a digital graphic designer and previously working for Tiger Air as well. A little bit personal about me, I have a rescue dog called Mara. She is my world.
She is here today.
She's here. She's relaxing on the couch. And yeah, I want to renovate my house and I have too many weddings and 30ths to go to next year. So yeah, that's me.
So do I. And yeah, my name's Ashlee. I'm also 29. I'm the senior digital product owner. And my particular section that I look after is the Amy Insurance website. So in my role, my main goal is to make insurance easy, and also increase digital sales. So everything I'm doing is really honed on those two targets for me. But you know, like Mon said, I don't know, I've worked in this kind of industry for a while now, and my job title is always different. So I never expect people to have any idea of what I actually do. So to explain my role in layman's terms is, for example, I work with heaps of teams and heaps of people to bring ideas to life about how we can make it easy and increase sales. And an example of something we did a couple of months ago was we were creating an A/B test on the homepage. And what that looks like is half of you on the call would see one version of the homepage, and then the other half on the call would see another version of the homepage. And here I am in the background being a bit of a creep, looking at the data and seeing, you know, what do you engage with? What happens when, you know, we put this up higher and this down lower, and we use this design, or we put this content first. So what I actually truly love about it all is the psychology behind it and why people behave the way they do, and helping just understand and predict that behavior. So we're going to go into a fair bit of that today. Definitely my nerd out topic. And then just a bit about my career and where I got to. So I've been at Suncorp managing the Amy Insurance website for the last 2 years. Before that, I worked for a heap of digital agencies, working on lots of websites, lots of industries, you know, agencies, super fast paced land it is there. So got to work across a lot of really cool things. Rolled out a CRM to 45 hotels when I think I was 21, and I was like, I can't believe you gave me this job, but it was definitely a career highlight for me. But before that, I actually started my career as a events manager. So I remember getting my first full-time job in Sydney, doing conferences, events and weddings. Absolutely loved it. Find that there is so many similarities to my role then and my role now. And you might be like, what the hell, Ash, you were managing weddings. How is that any bit similar to managing the Amy Insurance website? But it is, because it's essentially like a project manager role, but with specialties. You know, like I'm really good at communication, really good at being organized, and I can see priorities when other people can't see them. So I can understand the business priorities, the customer priorities, and also the like your internal team priorities as well, and just help manage that in between. And then other bits about me, just bought a house and COVID, don't know why I did that. There was a lot of work. You know, every time you like go to have like, you know, you make yourself a tea and then all of a sudden you're drilling something onto the wall because you're like, I can't see this sitting down still. Like I need to put this floating shelf up. So anyway, it was a wild, oh my God, bingo makes 3 times. I'm bingoing myself. But anyway, we're going to keep moving along.
So the reason that Ash and I are here today is because we're both passionate about this. We work very closely together, and we're very lucky to have each other on the data and personalisation side of things in the Suncorp world. We both heavily work on Amy, as Ash said, she manages the Amy websites, and then I support with data and personalisation tactics across that as well. So data and personalisation, as you can see on the screen there, we like to think of our definition of this as using audience and data analytics to intimately know the customer's intent enough to predict what they might want.
I think that's just so important, because it's literally like us being a psychic in the background. You know, we've only got data on these people, these millions of people that come to the website, and we need to understand exactly what they want and how they behave just through that data. So pretty crazy.
Definitely.
Cool. So a couple of things that we wanted to go through today is just some of the things that we're loving right now. So companies that prioritize data, a bit about the COVID transformation, just how it's changed values and such. And then behavioral economics, my favorite topic. So the reason why people behave the way they do, and then also the adoption of personalization. So we'll jump straight in. And it wouldn't be a data and personalization conversation without talking about Spotify. They are absolutely the best in the business. They know what songs we listen to. They know when we pause a song. They know how many times we repeat the song. They even probably know when we've been through a breakup just based on the song content that we changed to.
Guilty.
It's like, it's amazing the amount of data that they have on us. And you'd almost go to say that they're a data company instead of a music company. Music is just their medium. And you've probably all just received, and hopefully you have, otherwise you're a bit behind on the times, but your top songs of 2020. and like literally pulled together by data. And Mon showed me this cool quote the other day.
It's just
so
simple
funny.
as what someone posted it, and I was like, we have to use this because this is literally the customer's idea. You know, people are getting smarter with the whole of the social dilemma and all that sort of stuff coming out, but at the same time, there are these, you know, quotes. So I saw a girl post her Spotify top artist on her Instagram story with the caption, "So accurate." It's data. It's literally accurate. You can't get any more accurate than that.
That's like, you know, they definitely haven't gone through and like tried to find what your top 20 songs are. They can see exactly how many times you've listened to this Angus and Julia Stone on repeat, and they've put it into a list for you. So pretty cool that like we're still so naive to like what they're actually doing with our data, but they're doing it for us. Like personalization with integrity is what I'd really like to think of it as. Like they're personalizing for us, not just for a KPI or a business outcome. And you may also remember, you know, they had the thumbs up, thumbs down buttons on Spotify, I don't know, a couple of years ago, or maybe it was only last year. Time flies during COVID. And they, you know, they got us to do that so that we could opt in or opt out to like music that we didn't like, and they could create their own recommendation algorithm. And their recommendation algorithm then creates those radio artist playlists, you know, your Discover Weeklies, your own personal playlists that they put together for you. But they remove that because they don't need it anymore, because they've realized that behavior intent shows way more than getting somebody to press thumbs up or thumbs down. So they know that when we skip a song, that we don't like it. We don't really want to listen to it that much. And they've kept the love heart button, but they've made it more of as like a super like. So if you like that song, you really like that song, you want it to come up over and over again. Not many people actually go and press the love heart button on Spotify. So when you do, they know how much that song means to you. And they even then go that one step further and put it into like a liked playlist for us. So just using the data they have on hand and then serving it back to us. And I just love this breakdown. It's on the left-hand side, you listen to songs, it creates a taste profile about you. And then on the right-hand side, other people listen to songs, they create billions of playlists. They might have similar taste profiles like you. And, you know, with all that data, they spit out Discover Weekly playlists, which is, yeah, just super cool. Super cool to see how much data they use and how that fuels their business, and how, you know, everything they're doing is for the customer. And also can't have a data and personalization webinar without talking about Netflix. Again, you might as well call them a data company. It's insane the amount of recommendation algorithms that they have on us. According to Joris Evers, he was the previous head of communications for Netflix. There are 33 million different versions of Netflix. That number absolutely scares me.
It's wild.
Like we know how many different versions of like the Amy website that we have for customers, and it's not even close to 33 million, not even like on the spectrum. So I don't even know how they would manage that without breaking. Just insane.
There's a lot of variables there for sure.
Yeah, and they're obviously using AI and data to, you know, be able to serve up the right outcome. And it works for them because 75% of viewer activity is based on personalized recommendations. So for me at the moment, I'm getting recommended The Imitation Game, and yes, I watched it, and then it's telling me what else is popular on Netflix and what's recommended for me. And I don't remember the last time I've gone through the search section from the A to Z list and had a look and seen, you know, oh yeah, this is the movie I want to pick out. I'm going to go and watch this. You know, I'm watching movies and TV series based on what's trending now, what's recommended to me. So those recommendation algorithms are fueling their business. And the reason why they're one of the big, have the highest renewal subscription. So they're the absolute leader in the industry. They know how many times we watch a movie. They know how quickly we binge a TV series. They know when we watch, they know how often we watch it. They have all this data they collect on us. And one thing I just love is that they really move away from the traditional demographic data of age and gender, and it's all based on behaviors. So quick step back in history, Netflix actually started over 20 years ago in 1997. The first style of the company was about, they stocked DVDs and they'd send them to customers via post. Crazy to think that they were around then and they were doing the old school hard copy of a DVD and sending it out to people. And then in 2000, they created their first personalized movie recommendation system. So 20 years ago, they knew that this was important. recommendations, personalizing content, understanding people's data, predicting futures. So just crazy to see how that has progressed from here. And that's when they still had those hard copy DVDs. In 2007, they went to streaming. So streaming online, removing the DVDs, you could do it for $7.99 a month. And then now today, 2020, and you're seeing top 10 lists debut. They're putting lists together of like, you know, what's the top movies in the US? Or what's the best TV series for people like you? And we're loving this kind of data. And I just love seeing how the tolerance is changing to personalization. We're happy to get this kind of personalization because, you know, it's creating a better experience for us. It's creating engaging content, and yeah, we're engaging with it. And then one more company I want to call out is ASOS. Again, another company that really prioritizes behavior intent. The first screen on the left is the first screen you get when you visit the ASOS website. Pretty plain and simple. Like, they could have covered that with Black Friday sales. They could have covered it with like discounts, their latest product purchase. They could have put all of their different products on that one screen, but they don't. They purposely keep it really simple, stripped back, and they have two buttons: shop women, shop men. And you can see that in the navigation as well. Again, women or men, they don't flood it with too many extra details. They're wanting you to opt into an experience. And then that second time you come back, you're going to be getting that experience optimized for you. So there'll be lots of little things that you jump through. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure book where you're clicking on details and we're serving you up what you want next based on the behavior you told us that you like. So yeah, really interesting to see just how this is being developed in the world. I love seeing good personalization. I hate seeing things like pop-ups. You know, we all know when we've clicked on an email to go through to somebody's website and they splash up this pop-up of like subscribe, that absolutely grinds my gears. Like, I hate it because I'm like, you know, I'm subscribed, I've clicked on your email. So,
but also with this, they haven't overcooked the first time browsers experience. They've really stripped it back, and I think that's a really key shout out to all personalization is keep it simple in your first instance. That's not when potentially you're going to convert the most buyers or, you know, get that uplift. It's really the return visits and them coming back and then us channeling you into the experience that you actually want to receive. So yeah, interesting.
So go over a couple of things we're loving right now. COVID transformation.
COVID transformation. Who are you? Who are you? Are you a Dory? Have you forgotten who you are in COVID? You know, have you created a new, healthier lifestyle? Do you have a bigger appreciation from working from home? I know I do. I get to hang out with Mara all day. Do you love the work you do? Yeah, poor dog. Have you reevaluated your purpose in your work life? Has COVID thrown you into a new adventure in a new city? You know, we took our every day, threw it in a blender and added more time and social distancing. And the outcomes of how we should personalize up to the back of this is actually really interesting. And I think we should take a look at some other people who have done this really well. There was a study conducted just recently, and it was the McKinsey & Co article. It came out earlier this year, and it's Emerging from COVID-19, Australians Embrace Their Values. So we're seeing consumers reevaluating their values and belief systems and making more deliberate choices about where they shop, what they eat, and how they spend their time. And that's not necessarily to better the community or to better, processes around the world or anything like that. That is literally, is their time best spent shopping where they're shopping? Is it going to get there on time? Is it going to be quick? You know, what's the wait time? We know Australia Post is delayed at the moment. What can we do about it? Where they eat, is it healthy? Is it clean? Do they have the social distancing practices and safe? And how they spend their time. So house party, number one, I used it with my cousins in Israel, my family in Sydney, my sister in Sydney. We use all of these tools to better our experiences because they're purpose driven, and it comes down to purpose driven, engagement and buying. So in this article, it talks about 4 top points that I want to talk about. The 5th I don't really agree with. If you want to look up it later, you can for sure, but it's about how e-commerce failed to launch, which I think is completely not true. I think we did a really good job in Oz to do it. So the first one being socially conscious. So this is getting excited by stories of local companies finding innovative ways to stay afloat, similar like Providore, delivering great fresh meals that you can partly make in the restaurant and then make it at your house as well for fine dining, which was great, and that happened in Melbourne. New working arrangements, so understanding the benefits of the little everyday moments. So being able to, as I said, hang out with friends, go for long walks, really get my health and fitness back up, which then talks about healthy habits, making sure that you're setting goals for yourself, and how people are keeping mentally and physically positive in these sorts of times, and how they're changing their everyday life to sort of help that end goal. And then deliberate shopping choices. So making sure that, delivery, customer service, everything from a digital standpoint is at the best, and it can actually be evolving for them. And yeah, it's deliberate. You don't purchase from the same place that took 6 weeks to arrive when during the same time that other place that you purchased from as well, because everyone did a lot of online shopping over COVID, as we know. So yeah, you choose the places that are going to get you your best customer service, the quickest and the easiest way to do it as well.
I just want to touch on the QR codes. I don't know, Brisbane really got on board this early because obviously we didn't have the harsh lockdowns that everyone else did. But yeah, like all of a sudden QR codes were dead. Like, they came in and they died very, very quickly. And now in 2020, they're huge. Everyone uses QR codes. You now just have to open your camera. You don't have to have a QR app, and you have to give your data away. So it's just interesting to see how people are becoming more tolerant to giving their data away, because we have to, but also because we're not getting spammed about it. I hope you're not getting spammed about it. But yeah, I just think it's so interesting and why we're spending so much time on this topic is behaviors are so important to personalization, understanding why people behave the way they do for us to personalize appropriately. Because we're personalizing for the human, we're not personalizing for a specific business goal, and that personalized for the human should create a better experience, which in turn is a byproduct of the business goal.
Cool. The next one that I want to share with you guys is the Melbourne lockdown love that Uber Eats actually put out. So Uber's another great one that we follow with digital transformation. So in the COVID-19 second wave, Uber Eats activated a campaign around its new function that was released in May, which is share this delivery. So essentially what you could do is order something for someone in a different state and share with them their delivery. So they knew where that person, they could track it. They would come to your front door, you would know when they were there, you would get the same notifications as you would if you ordered it. So we banded together and we actually shared these gifts around to Melbourne people. I personally sent 2 off to my friends in Melbourne, one a Suncorp employee and then another a good friend. And it was great. It was basically the first 1,000 interstate users who placed an order for a loved one in Victoria got a free tub of ice cream. It was bloody awesome. I got photos back of people engaging and connecting. So here you're bringing in, the functionality of a great marketing tool and basically putting it out there for the world. Yes, there's a little bit of a freebie in there as well, which is always a driver. But using that functionality as the purpose-based marketing is really, really key when it comes to personalization. And, they're using all of this data in the best way as well, because they're personalizing, saying, as soon as you change your address, you get the Melbourne lockdown love, because they can see that you're in Queensland and that you're specifically looking for this campaign. So it was a really great way to connect people as well. And then actually we saw some really good stats from this as well. So a Perth local sent a meal to New York, Sydney Sider ordered to Lisbon, and someone in the Apple Isle ordered a meal from Hobart to the United Kingdom. And then there was an originating in Brisbane that went to Madrid. So you can see with being able to look at the geographical locations of these people, get the prompts. So if you weren't in there, you can, as you see on the screen right now, it says share this delivery, because they know that you're not actually getting it delivered to you. So personalization was key there as well. Again, Uber helpful. It was great. Uber Connect was awesome and still is around. It's basically, patching up the whole of customers not using ride sharing services, but also seeing the, sort of lapse in AusPost not being able to fulfill all orders because there was just such a backlog. Also making sure that we can get postage services there delivered really easily and quickly, not waiting long experiencing long wait times or having to go into an Australia Post sort of office and send it off that way. So no postage required. You can do it off your Uber app very easily. All you have to do is select connect as shown on the left-hand screenshot there. And basically they come pick your package up from you and drop it off to the person that you want to. So it's a really great way of doing it. It's on-demand package delivery, and it's no direct contact with others. So it's once again taking in consideration of the COVID situation, pandemic.
Cool. So that's it about COVID transformation. Now I want to jump into behavioral economics. So behavioral economics is all about the applying psychological insights to human behavior to explain economic decision making. So let's ask you to have a think about what was the last thing you purchased, and how much emotion went into that purchase. I don't know about you, but Black Friday, a couple of weeks ago, I feel still scarred from that experience. But I remember just my emails being flooded, like just absolutely so many emails about Black Friday specials, and I just spent a heap of money. I was like, oh my God, I really shouldn't be looking at this. And I just felt so overwhelmed. And so I just pretty much did a bulk delete, being like, oh, that's cleansing. I can't look at them. I know there's so many deals I should have got, and I probably should have got onto the Christmas shopping, but I just didn't. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, look at how much like emotions and feeling went into that, that experience for me. So I'm going to give you guys some examples of, of a framework that basically you can use. And I'm going to just ask you to think about the last time you were in a grocery store and you're wandering down that aisle to buy a block of chocolate. And I'm going to use the example by Bree Williams. She is a behavioral scientist, and she's come up with the framework scared, overwhelmed, and lazy. And I think this is just a great way to understand what are the 3 barriers to people taking action. And you might be like, Ash, come on, my product is not that complicated. Why do I need psychological analysis of my customers and what their purchasing decisions are? It's a $5 chocolate, like, get over yourself. But I think you'll be pretty surprised to just see, how much goes into that decision. So imagine you're walking down Woolworths, you're walking to the chocolate aisle, and all of a sudden, you're a female and you feel guilty, and you've just told everyone you're going to go on a 4-week detox of chocolate. And you're like, far out, I'm 2 weeks in, I'm scared. I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I'm meant to be on a diet, but I really need this. So, or you could be like, oh, do I get the big block of chocolate or do I get the small block of chocolate? But, like, I don't want to see anyone to see me getting this big block of chocolate. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I shouldn't be eating this much chocolate. I know I'm going to go home and eat that entire block. We've all done it before. So that's scared, and then there's overwhelmed, and you can see all of these chocolates. There's probably like 22 different versions of dairy milk Cadbury dairy milk at the moment, and like you don't even have a clue what to choose. So it's just so overwhelming. And you might feel like, oh no, I'm just going to go reach for my typical dream chocolate. One, I don't feel scared of that. I can hide it. Nobody's going to see it. I can put it in my bag. When I go back into the office, like, no one's going to see me eat this dairy milk chocolate. And I'm not overwhelmed because I'm just going with something I know. Like, it's easy, perfect. Or you could also feel lazy. Be like, I'm walking to the chocolate aisle, but you know what? This is too hard. I'm just going to go get whatever chocolate is at the front counter, and I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to go. I don't want to have to think about this. I just want you to put it in my hands. I need this chocolate. And yeah, how crazy is that decision making?
It's weird.
It's so weird breaking down. And now, so we work in the insurance business, and think of buying car insurance. How many times are you scared to buy car insurance? Overwhelmed or lazy? I know a lot of people are overwhelmed, that's for sure, because you're like, do I have the right product? I've got to get so many quotes. It's so hard. Or I'm lazy. No, I'll just renew it. I know I'm not going to get the best price, but whatever. I might be scared because all of a sudden I've gone through this really cheap insurer, but I don't know if I'm covered. I don't really understand. But just look at those 3 things that help, like, really shape somebody's decision making. And we don't really put enough importance on it. Before there was traditional demographics, and that's how we personalized. Whereas the world's really changing right now to behavior. That's what Netflix is doing, Spotify, ASOS, Uber. They're all understanding that behavior intent is the way to go with personalization. And I just want to touch on this as well, which is the limbic model. I feel like it is the Myers-Briggs of personality profiling tools. It's essentially designed specifically for marketing and mapping emotions to influence shopping behavior. So it's just saying that, people's behavior intent is so important. You've got to understand where they're at certain parts of the journey. And say, for example, you may need to exercise more in the stimulant section. So you may need to exercise more flexibility. But then maybe later in the purchasing decision, you need to give them more diligence to know that the product's going to be completed accurately. So, it's just so interesting to see how that works and how we're stepping away from typical demographic data personalization to more behavior intent.
Big time.
What we're loving right now, adoption of personalization.
Yeah, so everyone's really adopting it essentially. So we expect to be remembered, and by being remembered, that's a form of personalization as well, because you're getting this personalized experience every time you come back to something that you have to log into. So Face ID, Touch ID, log in with Facebook, Twitter, or Google Plus, or sign in manually, and then the safe password function. All of these things are, something that we expect. We're getting more comfortable with allowing our data to be out there because it allows us to have that ease of use. So the social dilemma, as I mentioned before, and the great hack shows us how we're actually being targeted and we don't even know it. And it needs to be used for good, that's for sure. I'll put that out there after mentioning the great hack. But we also need to help the process of the customer's journeys as well. So, how many times have you actually said Facebook must be listening? And thinking, oh, I got that ad because Facebook's listening to my chat. No, you've actually been given that ad about 20 times before you've said that. You've just not noticed it because you haven't mentioned it yet. So there's ways that they're, targeting us and using our data to personalize our experiences because they know a bit about us. They do know our intent. So being able to adopt personalization and that data into personalization is awesome. Big companies are, actually letting us do it now. Now, I'm going to give you a little example here as to why we actually love, adoption of personalization. So my mum, bless her soul, at the start of this year was asking me to book her flights to Sydney for her. I'm her tech support, 101 tech support. Sometimes my sister too. Which is fitting for a digital person, so I'm okay with it sometimes. But I was like, no, you know what? You are savvy. She's savvy. She knows it, but she doesn't do it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this back on you. You're going to do it. I was like, I've got total faith in you. Go for it. She called me back in a couple of hours and she was just like, Monique, this is great. It remembered my name. It remembered my password. It has my, rewards points in there. It knew I was going to Sydney. It remembered the dates that I was looking up. And I was like, you know what? Look how easy that was for you. And look how much you've adapted to personalization. And, she's loving it. She has that ability to do something for herself, feel empowered, have that customer journey, really impress herself. But then also she talks about it to her friends and families, which is then a great, of course, word of mouth. So yeah, this is personalization and we love it. We really love the use of it, the ease of it, and the ability not to have to think about the final details because we've already gone through that whole process of what dates are we going there, what are we going to do, who are we staying with.
How many of you guys keep your passwords in your notes?
Oh, yeah.
And now you don't really have to do it because
mine's Face ID.
Google Chrome remembers your passwords.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And that's me just giving away my data voluntarily.
Yeah.
Being a little bit risky, I suppose. But at the same time, if I didn't have that password saved, I wouldn't be using that website. And I guess risk versus reward, our tolerance is changing for personalization and what data we're willing to accept that is personalized and not.
100%. And it's just every day. It's second nature now. So yeah, this meme that I have on the screen there is, you said memes would work. I said good memes would work. So making sure that the data that you're using helps the customer journey from a functionality point of view is a great way of using data.
So where next? We have just spoken about everything that, a couple of things that we're loving, probably not everything we're loving, but you'd be here for hours. Come spend a weekend with us. And so where we're going next. So what are we thinking? What we've been doing this year and where we're looking at for next year. So really key things for data and personalization and for how you can put together your strategy. So we're going to touch on listening to your customers, how to engage stakeholders, and the establish, refine, stabilize strategy.
So first off is listening to the customers. So don't forget to listen to the customers. And I know people say, listen to your customer. They'll tell you what you want. But what does that actually look like? How do we actually visually and actionably do that? So your customer is the most valuable source of information. So make sure you're constantly reading reviews, looking at social media comments, channels, stay in touch with the customer. And if you have a contact center or a returns mailing house center or anywhere that you can get customer feedback reviews, make a buddy there. Make a ritual to contact them once a month. Understand them. Don't just wait for the reports. If you're lucky enough to get reports like we are, a voice of customer, make that connection and say, hey, what's the gripe of the team this month? Tell me, can we help you? Can we set up something fortnightly or monthly to help that? So make it a ritual, and you need to be engaging more people within your company and focus less on competitors and what they're doing. Because as much as you can take, great insights and research of other people as to how to action and put out campaigns, it's fantastic, but you're only going to be helping your customers, so you really need to know who they are. So engaging all levels of the business, and looking at social media reviews, doing that by yourself as well. It's a great option.
And on top of listening to your customers, just take off the blinkers in just real life. Like my mum, my sister, my tech illiterate friend. Hopefully a few of you guys are on the call today. You know who you are. Everyone's experience is valid, and it's so important to listen. I listen to so many friends or just people that I chat to randomly about what their experiences are. And I'm continuously aware about how they've reacted to that. Or I've sent them a link and they've messaged me back saying, oh, I don't want to open this link, Ash. I was just open it, mate. Just open it and sign up. It's just so interesting to see what barriers are there, how people relate to things. When we talk about behavior intent, it's not just mine or Monique's behavior intent. And we're obviously tech savvy people. There's also the non-tech savvy people as well. And there's also just, the city and the country. There's just different, viewpoints from a lot of different people. So understanding all of them, and you can get that from everywhere.
Especially because I work across Amy and Suncorp, which have similar demographics, but then I'm also speaking to APR and GIO customers who aren't as digital friendly and who do, have, more trickier time jumping on board and all that sort of stuff.
It's not just like a cookie cutter. You pick up this personalization and you put it on this website. It doesn't just work like that. You've got to know who they are.
You have to look through all the data and find out where are the sweet spots, where are the soft spots, and then use it based off that. So taking off the blinkers is really important to make sure that you're listening to other people and their experiences.
Yeah, and just wanted to touch on just putting yourself in the customer's shoes, literally walk a day in their shoes and go through that experience and do it often. I always tell people about this experience that I had a couple of years ago. I broke down on Coronation Drive. For those in Brisbane that know the street, this is not the street that you want to be breaking down on. I was pulled over in a bus lane, freaking out, had to get towed. And I was like, oh my God, thank God I wore shoes out of the house today, because I was just doing a quick errand. And anyway, I was just I guess there's a silver lining to this all. At least now I know completely what the customer experience is when they have to call roadside assist. And so now that shapes the way that I deliver experiences, and I'm more empathetic, more thoughtful, more considered in the designs that we publish, because I know what's important to a customer. And that's something from my perspective, but that's me listening and being aware to an experience that I'm going through. So how many other experiences can you listen to of other people that they're going through, and then relate that back to digital? People ask me all the time, where do you get your digital ideas? And it's just from me listening and being aware in the world, seeing that, oh my God, went to Felons on the weekend, and then look at me using this QR code and buying online. All of those things are shaping behavior. And people think that behavior offline, just in the real world, is different to online. It's not really. We have the same expectations online and offline. People are just a bit scared to use online. So you're doing a bit more of that trust building and just making it easier for them. So engaging stakeholders, always a little bit difficult. But just can't underrate this. It is so important to know your elevator pitch and really be able to tell a good story and know who you're talking to. So depending on, say you're talking to marketing in the business, you need to really put it in a way that they would understand it, and also it might bring value to their business. But the more people you get involved, the more you get excited, the more people that are on the same page as you, they're going to support you. And they're also going to come to you with ideas of how, things could work. you know, you might be personalizing a product for someone. You might be talking to your product team about how can you personalize this product for a specific market. But without teeing up all those dots, they don't really know what's available and out there. But as we've just given you guys options, like examples today, they're examples that anyone could understand. You know, my friend that, you know, has no idea about any kind of data and personalization would still be able to understand, you know, how Netflix and Spotify are personalizing. So put things in their perspective and make sure that they understand it. Make sure you can tell a really good story and elevator pitch quickly. And then the main message that I try and get across is like, personalize for the customer. Don't necessarily just personalize because you want to hit a business goal. The business goal comes as a result of personalizing for the customer. So just really being customer first.
Amen. Now, I know we're running a little bit out of time, but I'll wrap this one up with establish, refine, and stabilize. This is a little bit of a personalization journey down the Suncorp route, and what I do specifically from a data and personalization standpoint in my team at Suncorp. So I'm going to give you a little example. So I swear by establish, refine, and stabilize. And essentially what this means is, firstly, you need to establish a micro journey. So this is your established stage. So a micro journey to me is understanding something that supports the voice of customer, so the needs of the customer. It actually takes into account of traffic volume. So you know that where you're actually looking into and looking to personalize is actually going to be beneficial because you will get a great outcome with the amount of traffic coming through. Too many times we think, oh my gosh, we should do this great idea. We're going to target these people. We go ahead with it and we're like, oh, nothing's statistically confident after, you know, 3 months of it being live. This surely should happen, but no one looked into the volume prior to see if it's a big enough audience to do it.
Data is key. Volume is key. If you're only personalizing for 2 people, you'll never know if it's a winner, but you might have enough confidence that this is still a better experience.
Yeah, it's just easier to show the success out of that as well. And then your business goals, so making sure it links in with that, which is really crucial. Secondly is your audience model. So this is established through your micro journey and the data modeling as well that you have within your company. If you don't have this, I strongly suggest investing in an audience model, and you can just do that from ground up if you need to, or you can look at existing ways of doing that and then adapt them to your micro journey as well. That's another way of doing it. We currently use the life cycle audience modeling, which is essentially a researcher, a shopper, and a customer. So a researcher is someone who's come to the pages, looked at a product or an article or something like that that refers back to a product. And then shopper is someone who's gone through a full quote and returned. And then a customer is obviously someone who's logged in and has been authenticated with us. So we're currently looking into behavioral audience modeling as well, and what that looks like for an insurance customer, which is going to be really cool. And then find your creative messaging and design. Really, you know, align your tactics with marketing campaigns and existing layouts and existing contents, because that's where you start. Your first design is never your last design. That is your baseline, because you're taking something that you know someone else has tested, putting it out there, testing other things yourself, and then coming up with a better design, which then you can go back to those people and say, hey, look, we've actually found this button works better than that button. This wording looks better than this wording. And then you're actually creating a whole movement, and you're actually supporting all of your channels in that sort of creative messaging and testing. Reporting metrics, this is key. Not every campaign has the same metric, and do not get fooled. So make sure, if you don't know what your metric is, so for instance, if I have a quote retrieve metric and I don't understand what that means, does it mean they're coming back to a quote retrieval page or a quote summary page in my instance for insurance? You know, what does that mean? What are we talking about here? So make sure you're really clear on what it means before you start reporting on something. I've recently had to go back through my campaigns and said, hold on a second, that reporting metric doesn't match up, even though we were reporting with it. So you have to sort of play with them a little bit to make sure that you're getting the full customer journey and the full outcome, which is really crucial there. So the next one that we're talking about is still the established. So I'm going to take you through an established campaign that I did. So I started this team at the start of this year and was working in personalization before in the direct marketing team. So my micro journey for the on-site experience was to improve self-service opportunities through COVID to make sure that people can log in really quickly. So that means my audience is customers. That means my creative messaging is making them feel remembered and help them access their details really easily. And my reporting metric is increased portal logins. Simple as that. Mapping out exactly what you want and sticking to your hypothesis the whole way through, making sure you know it. So how did we do this? So this is the example of the homepage at the moment. Currently got an offer, which is Dunne. Go and check it out if you want. And as you can see in the top right-hand corner is the My Account panel. And that's the only way that customers would see to log on. So for a customer, if they're a returning customer, we changed the experience to have this a little bit blurry. Sorry about that, guys. But on you can see we've actually taken the My Account panel, which was previously a little bit further down, and put it at the top of the page because we know that you're a customer. We haven't touched any of it, so we kept all of the 8 CTAs, we kept all of the same copy, we kept everything. All we did was stack it so we could put an image next to it. So when doing this, you need to, once you've established your campaign, set it live, you're testing it, you are full into refine mode. As soon as it goes live, you are like, okay, so what is my next step with this campaign? You're not starting from scratch with something else, you're refining that campaign. Do it. So you're looking at the user experience, so the full customer journey flow. You're looking at the design and the layout, and then you're looking at the content. So looking at the data, understanding how is the customer engaging with it, what are they doing with it, and how are they pushing forward, and how are they, engaging with the layout and all that sort of stuff, as well as the copy. So what we did here is this is the stabilized version, and then I went through and did refine. So phase 1, it's always a phase approach, because if you test all different elements at one next phase, you won't get statistical evidence that your campaign is actually working, or the thing that you have changed, whether that be the user experience, the content, or the creative, has actually worked. So here, phase 1, we had a look at the most touched CTAs on that experience, and we changed we reduced them and changed them to the 4 top. So we're using user engagement to refine that process, which was phase 1. Phase 2 was we changed the layout. Our UXer on the Amy team actually supported us and said, hey, this carousel's working better from a user engagement perspective and a look and feel. Use this in your next phase. Did that. Then phase 3 was only expose relevant information. So this is using customer engagement information as well. So once they clicked on renew my policy, which was one of the 4 CTAs, they'd get this pop-up, but we already know what products they have. So why are we showing them all of these products? So we only exposed in this experience, we removed all of the products that they didn't have and only exposed the ones that they did. And then phase 4 was to pass through the intent to the end journey. So you have to know you're not just personalizing the first instance of that personalization, you're going through all the way. So when you went through to the actual portal, this is a message you would receive. That banner does nothing. It absolutely does nothing apart from remind you your intent to go through and renew. And your renewal is downstairs. Yeah, renew, and it's personalized. But it's pushing that message all the way through, which we didn't have before. And then stabilize. We did this for Amy, Suncorp, APR, and GIO. And every single one had a different tactic. Every single one had different engagement metrics. Every single one had different layouts. There was a UX homepage redesign in the mix of it. I did this for every single one of them. And for Suncorp specifically, we saw a really great uplift. So we saw almost 7% uplift in logins. We saw an above 17% uplift in self-service actions, which is once again helping our hypothesis. And then we saw nearly 5% uplift in portal payments completed. That's great. And it was because we saw our customer not as only as someone who we can help and be there for, but also as like an opportunity to support their whole way through. So that's just a little bit of an example of how we do that, or how I do that for data and personalization. And Ash just lets me put things on the Amy homepage.
I love it. So just, we know we should be wrapping up pretty soon, but we want to just leave you with a couple of things that we think is really important. People always ask us, how do you get your ideas? How do you stay ahead? How do you stay inspired? So how to be the Regina George of data and personalization.
Make it fetch. Make it fetch.
So take off the blinkers, just be really aware. Like that's so important to just, you know, walk through life. You know, everyone's behavior is important, and understanding that. Look outside your industry. We're both big advocates for that one. So for us, we're not just looking at insurance, we're looking at every industry, because people don't just buy car insurance and go between car insurance websites and look at different car insurance experience. They buy online all the time, lots of different things. You know, we buy clothes, I bought a whole heap of stuff for our house, you know, like all of those journeys help shape what we expect.
And books, podcasts, psychology over marketing, for sure. So this is one I'm super passionate about. I listen to a lot of, you know, Esther Perel and stuff like that, understanding how people are reacting to trauma or issues or incidents as well, and how that actually shapes how the next time they buy. For instance, if you've been through a really horrible car accident, you thought you were covered for a rental car, but you're not, you know, are we putting that out there for a car insurance purchase? You know, is that trauma or is that situation really dependent on the next thing that they buy? Making sure that you're across, you know, how people engage with, different, you know, podcasts, even the way that people pick what they want to listen to and how, and, you know, all the trends outside. So yeah, super important.
And just wanted to leave you with a couple of my favorites. I mentioned Brie Williams, Triangle, Overwhelmed, Scared, Lazy. So I put her details in here. She's got a book called Move the Shampoo, love it. A book I just bought for the Christmas holidays, Decoded, The Science Behind Why We Buy. For anyone getting into digital or like anything digital, read Don't Make Me Think, Steve Krug. I hope you've all read it already. It's just brilliant. I also got to speak on a podcast a couple of months ago. So it's all about website design. And it's called Cards of Fate by the Digital Growth Hacking Podcast. But yeah, there's a heap there for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. And I don't know how many times we said wild. Carly,
like a couple of times.
Can you give us a count on the bingos?
You believe I didn't count? I was like, they said it twice. I was like, good.
I reckon there's like max 4 or 5 maximum. But yeah.
Honestly, going into it, I was like, the whole presentation is just going to be about wild. But it was nowhere near as prevalent as I thought, which is great. We actually heard about data in between.
You're welcome. Staying on track.
So, apparently you said huge a lot.
It is a new buzzword for us.
Yeah. Love huge.
I call your buzzwords. Like I have a different buzzword every month, and then I overuse it, and then I have to move on to a new one.
Yeah, well,
we're really bad. Like I get hers, she gets mine. It's a really bad round table, but yeah.
Look, that was such a terrific presentation. I was like madly scribbling notes and trying to be like, okay, how am I going to use that at work? I guess when you're first starting on that personalization journey, like for a complete newbie, like where would you start? What's the first kind of action or step you take?
Yeah, I'd go to your establish, refine, and stabilize. So establish your key points that you have. So your micro journey, your audience, your creative messaging, and your reporting metric. I think it's really interesting to go through the customer voice of customer and customer reviews first to see where people are sort of sitting first, and then understanding what the micro journey off the back of that is, just to help sort of push you in that direction. Like there's never going to be one right answer. I think you can find a whole lot of areas. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Just put it out, establish it, get it out. And then if it doesn't work, refine it. Like you just got to try something. Go with your gut. I feel like if you're a good digital marketer, nothing's ever too simple and nothing's ever too, basic really.
Yeah, no, awesome.
And you can always test that with like that concept with other people around you. Like, listen to your customers, and what you're doing is you're personalizing for customers. So just ask a couple of friends or colleagues in the office, and you don't need to have, the CEO involved in the conversation. You can make up a lot of this and put together these details yourself. And, just based on what you already know about the business and the customer.
Terrific. we have a question from Eva. Guys, if you have a question, please pop it in the chat section or the Q&A section. We're going to stay online for another 5 minutes or so. So now is definitely the time to ask. But Eva wants to know, when you say voice of customer, do you mean listen to them on your website, in the feedback tab? Like, how are you kind of getting that information, I guess?
Yeah, so going on to your business's social media, I feel like that's a huge platform at the moment. If you've got enough viewership there, definitely go there. If you have a contact center, even if they are not in Australia, reach out for a contact there and just say, hey, what are the customer contact center staff feeling? Like, what are they hearing the most? What's a grievance that they have? And try piece that together of how you can actually establish a personalization journey off the back of that to improve their experience.
Yeah, I even just like go and sit in the call center, or now at the moment because I'm not allowed to because of COVID, but I get them to send me some recordings every now and again, and I just listen to them. Like, there was a while there where I was just listening to one call a day and just listening to it, because it just helps me put myself in the customer's shoes, because it's really easy when you sit behind a computer to just, you know, assume what people think and behave like, but just getting as close to the customer as possible. We have like surveys that we have online as well. We have chat functions that people just chat organically, and you just get nuggets of gold out of like reading some of those details.
Yeah, find customer facing people. I know that's pre-COVID, but still, you know, ask them how they feel and what customers' biggest grievances were and stuff like that. But yeah, and taking yourself through the process. So if you know that there's a journey, say for renewals, take yourself through the process.
Yeah, I love that. I guess for you guys, is there like a particular software or platform that you can recommend or that you swear by?
I use Target to basically get out the experiences, but it has to really be compatible for your company. So you have to, so we work over, you know, heaps of companies, and I work over 4 different brands. So it has to be compatible with yours, but something that just has really good, I don't know, like you can put all of your data in there and do that. It's really dependent on how large or small your company is.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick one as well, because like we use Adobe Target, but obviously Suncorp Group is a huge company and there's so much investment in personalization, so you can commit to that. But there's plenty of like free platforms out there, and I just commit to one, because if you're just starting in personalization, then you've got to get buy-in. So you don't want to go with something that's too expensive. You need to get buy-in from, you know, your stakeholders, the team around you, that they understand how to use it. They're going to provide you, you know, help get on board. And then you might have to, you know, change from there. Changing personalization system, I'm sure, is never easy, but you'll know when it's worth it. Yeah. You'll know when it's worth like moving up to the next ranks, but you don't want to go and buy some massive system when you have no idea if it's going to work.
And data and personalization is huge at the moment. Oh, damn, I just said it. It's something that everyone's wanting to do. You know, it's one of the top mentions that our CEO just mentioned as well, digital and personalization. So it's huge. You have to get on board. You have to start doing it. And you can do it as simple as sending out a cluster of emails to one type versus another type, and figuring out from an email marketing communication how that actually triggers different people. You know, do A/B testing all the time, even on different platforms as well.
Yeah. And I guess like for you guys, something I personally struggle with is like we get access to a lot of data. Like we have a massive community. We're meeting a lot of people in person, a lot of activity on the website. Like, how do you figure out which data to listen to and which to ignore? Because I regularly get drowned in all of the numbers.
Yeah, can you imagine Netflix, 33 million experiences?
How they have that. I think from a data perspective, I love data, but I think you need to suppress as much as you can. Yeah. I think if you get all of this information, don't get overwhelmed by it. Go in with a micro journey, and then, you know, once you have your micro journey, the second point in this is to refine your audience. So if that's using an existing data modeling set, or if that's using something that's previously been done with a different sort of area of business, use that, but then make sure you're suppressing all of that other information that you don't need as well. Really
like, for example, like you mentioned this the other day, you know, if someone's making a complaint, we don't want to be showcasing them all of this like great promotional messaging about this competition that's coming up. Yeah. You know, they don't want to see it.
If
it's
you're
only going to escalate
mid-claim,
them. So yeah,
if you're mid-claim and you're waiting patiently for an email to come through from your, you know, provider saying, hey, yeah, you've been given that money to get a new car, like it's holidays, blah, 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 and you get a rewards email from them, no. Like, I'm off you already. Like, it's not fun.
exciting. Yeah, I guess just start small, create a micro journey. So I think the easiest one is to know your customers versus your new business. Like that's probably one of the easiest places to start, because then you're customizing for, you know, keeping renewal and retention, which is great. And then that data is a lot easier to find. That's somewhere that you can really start with, because, you know, you've got cookie data that you can use to, you know, create your audience data. And then you can suppress from there. So you can take out anybody that's, you know, mid-purchase or whatever's relevant for you. You can then create messaging that's great for customers. And then, you know, your reporting. So for example, maybe you're trying to achieve, you know, a higher renewal rate. So you want to see that people are renewing more, or they're keeping their subscription up, or they're making a second purchase.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think, like, I don't know, before heading into this, I kind of thought of insurance as quite dry, but the truth is it's such an emotional process, whether your car's crashed or something's happened to your house or something. And so feeling like Amy or Suncorp is there every step of the way would really have that brand affinity and kind of make you fall in love with that brand even more.
It's super low touch as well. Like, you don't really check it unless it's once a year for your renewals, if that's what you do. So making sure that we have customer, you know, buy-in as well is super huge.
Yeah, if they come back to the website, they've probably had a crash or they've got something going wrong. So they're triggered already. So how do we respond to that?
Because they're thinking, oh, I've got all these things to organize, and you just want to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
You don't want to complicate it.
No, I love that. Look, before we wrap up for today, any final tip, insight, fun fact, anything?
Take your blinkers off. Listen to your mum, your sister, your auntie, your uncle. It's Christmas time. Everyone's going to be complaining. They're going to be getting on some bandwagon. So definitely, you know, listen to them.
Yeah, and then just come follow us on Instagram. Not Instagram. You can come follow us on Instagram too, but come follow us on LinkedIn. I share lots of different books and reviews and everything like that. I just think it's so important to share things with a community of people that are really engaged in that kind of content. Mon and I only met each other a year ago, and we latched onto each other because we're like, oh my God, you're a digital nerd as well. This is great. I can finally find your digital nerd that you can just chat about these kind of topics with and have fun.
Yeah, find your connection for sure.
And Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
I'm just going to go to like my family Christmas and just like use a research test and be like,
I know.
Precisely.
Awesome. Well, look, we're going to wrap it up there. Can we please give a big virtual round of applause to Mon and Ashlee? Thank you so much for putting this together.
Thanks, guys.
Great content. I'm lucky this is recorded because I'm going to have to watch it a few times to absorb it all. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. It's been quite a year, as I kind of said at the start. We've had 16 webinars, 4 events, an International Women's Day panel right before COVID, and of course our hybrid gala. So it wouldn't be possible without people like you and without Monique and Ashlee supporting us. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up the year with a big thank you. We look forward to catching up with you all in the new year, but this was our final event for the year. So that's it from me. Have a great Christmas. Quiz your
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Carly.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you later.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.